Turn up your volume. because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur.
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est dégagement, et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Leur 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. 8.6 beer. Intense by nature. And Locage. If the last time you went to Locage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you went back to Locage. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro on this Tuesday, November 29th. It is a couple of minutes past 10 o'clock, and we are live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook, and we are live on Twitter. As a matter of fact, let me just grab my phone right now, because one of the things I like to do is actually retweet that we're on. And here we go. We are on. All right. Okay. And letting everyone know as well that we'll be taking calls at 1-888-585-SICK, 1-888-585-7425 at one point. All right. That is done. So thank you for bearing with me on that one. It is the Sick Podcast, and it is brought to you in part by several proud sponsors, one of which, of course, is the people right in front of me. Here they are. 8.6 beer, intense by nature, the beer for those who follow their instinct and live their passions in order to make their mark. The Montreal Canadiens lose by a score of 4-0 to the San Jose Sharks, and Habs Nation is divided. Half of them wanted to see them win, and the other half, like me, who want the rebuild because they keep watching highlights of a certain Connor Bedard and a certain Adam Fantilli, are, not overly disappointed that they lost. To my buddy, Jean-Charles Lajoie of TVA Sports, JC, and Premier Compteur on BPM Sports Radio. I told him earlier tonight that the Montreal Canadiens would win 4-0. A shout out to Jake Allen. I got the score right, that it was 4-0, but it's not the Montreal Canadiens who won it. It is the San Jose Sharks. And Jake Allen, when it rains, it pours. Things are not going well for him, because prior to the hockey game, he had a record of 6-7. You can now make it a record of 6-8 in 14 games. Prior to the game, his goals against average was .362, and his save percentage was .891. This one here does not get better, and there's a big controversy in town right now, because head coach Martin St. Louis said that Jake Allen is his number one a couple of days ago. And the good Chez Nous has played pretty good. His name is Samuel Montembeault, with a record of 5-2-1, with a goals against average 247 and a save percentage of .924. But Jake Allen didn't get any run support either tonight, did he? The Montreal Canadiens scored 0 goals for him, make it 0. And they were on the power play for over 11 minutes in this game, and 57 seconds of which was on a 5-on-3. Their power play went 0 for 6, and I find it mind-boggling. I love Marty St. Louis. I love everything about him. But I find it mind-boggling that a Marty St. Louis team struggles this much on the power play. Maybe one guy who can put his finger on it, joining us for the very first time on the Sick Podcast, and I'm pretty happy that he is. I gave him a call earlier today. He is a host on BPM Sports Radio, 91.9 on your FM dial in Montreal. He hosts the show between 1:30 in the afternoon and 3:30 in the afternoon weekdays. Max Van Houtte, what's going on, my man?
Tony, how are you doing?
I'm doing extremely well. It was only a little while ago that I discovered that your English is very good. So
it's
here
capable.
you are.
It's okay. I'm decent. I'm doing good for a guy born in Sept-Îles, Quebec. Let's put it that way.
Sept-Îles, Quebec. All right. Okay. Who else very famous comes from Sept-Îles, Quebec?
Guy Carbonneau.
Guy Carbonneau. Yeah, I've heard of him.
The arena is famously called after him.
Of course.
Carl Dykhouse.
Okay.
And the most famous of all, Anne-Sophie Bété, Montreal Force captain and all-star on the television also.
All right. I will tell you this, of course, and, none of them need any introduction. Everyone knows who they are. Carl Dykhouse was one of the athletes that I thought was the most pleasant to deal with when he played with the Montreal Canadiens. Yeah. Overall, good guy. Just a very, very good man, Carl Dykhouse. I run into him every now and then. And he's always a pleasure to talk to. He's very, very approachable, very down to earth, very humble guy. I like Carl Dykhouse a lot. Speaking of humble, the San Jose Sharks gave the Montreal Canadiens a little bit of humble pie tonight. This was one of the Canadiens' worst efforts of the season.
I totally agree with you. Actually, Tony, you're lucky that I love you so much and respect you so much, because I would have taken the night off gladly after that one. I mean, it looked like those...
Well, somebody has to work tonight. The players took the night off.
Oh,
you
man,
have to show up.
Those 2000s game involving the New Jersey Devils with Jacques Lemaire. All the respect to Jacques Lemaire, but to me, those were like... I was a kid, obviously, back then, and a teenager, but those were the worst game to watch for me. I enjoyed them because I'm a goalie guy, and I loved Martin Brodeur. Yeah. But I had flashbacks tonight, and, the worst part of it is...
He was getting 18 shots per game.
Yeah, but the worst part of it is at least the Devils were good. They were incredibly good at doing that, but the San Jose Sharks, really? Like, respect to their game. Nick Bonino blocked, 5 shots tonight? Marc-Edouard Vlasic blocked 4. But you use the word lack of effort, and I totally agree. It's to me, I don't mind the loss. I agree with you. I don't mind the Canadiens losing this year for the rebuilding effort, but I want to see an effort. And I have seen the effort more often than not so far this year. But tonight, the goal to start the game, killed them instantly, I felt like.
Yeah, it's funny because my son was saying to me last night, he said, hey, I found some Canadiens tickets on one of the apps and stuff like that on the internet. He says, I can get in for $65. I'm thinking of going to the game. He said, what do you think? I said, well, you know what? This team is pretty exciting. I said, they are a very, very entertaining team. But I don't know. There's just something about this game. Probably this one shouldn't be the one to go to. So luckily for him, he didn't go to it because it was one of the rare games that was not overly entertaining. Look, let's put the cards on the table. We've been blessed to watch Nick Suzuki pick up 12 goals up until now, and Cole Caulfield as well. And Kirby Dach very much completing that line. But that line was a combined -9 tonight. -3 for Suzuki, -3 for Caulfield, -3 for Kirby Dach. And, they tried to find a way to put this guy to sleep. And tonight he did. So there's my pillow, and my pillow is going to sleep. My pillow, by the way, which I got from our buddy Chris Latornade from Sport Latornade store in Vaudreuil-Dorion. He sells player cards, whether it's hockey cards or football cards or baseball cards or soccer cards or you name it. He joined me on the program a couple of nights ago to talk about it. And he had a Caden Goalie pillow, and he said he can have pretty much anybody that you want. And we went out for lunch yesterday, and he presented me with this. It's pretty cool, eh? I don't even know if Cole himself has one, but it's really beautiful, to tell you the truth. The Sick Podcast, brought to you in part, of course, by Energy Transportation Group. They always bring the energy. I can tell you that. They're an asset-based 3PL provider offering outstanding service at incredible rates, serving all of North America. Energy Transportation Group offers full-service logistics report. It is a great place to work. They come to work. Unfortunately, the Canadiens, not everyone came to work tonight. It was 93 seconds in. Max, 93 seconds. That's all it took for the San Jose Sharks to go up by a score of 1-0. Are you hearing me, Max?
Sorry, Tony, I lost you here for a second.
Okay, do you have me now?
Yeah, it's good. It's back. Sorry.
All right, no problem at all. It happens when you're dealing with the internet. I was just saying that it took 93 seconds for the San Jose Sharks to get on the board. 93 seconds.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, and I hear you every morning with JC, right? And I hear you also on TV Sport, and you know what? I understand, and I know you talked about it this morning, but I understand Martin St. Louis to back the veteran netminder. I totally do understand, and I respect that. There is part of me that respects that. But I was skeptical of the decision tonight because Samuel Montembeault has been doing so great. And you can't give that goal in if you're Jake Allen. Now this is sixth time in the last 7 start of Jake Allen that he has save percentage under 900 with tonight's game. That is now, 9 consecutive game or 8 time out of 9 with 3 goals or more given by Jake Allen. And you need him to make that save to start. You need him to make the key save. That this game should have been blank on both sides heading into the third period. There was no reason for that goal to go in, and mostly there was no reason for Jake Allen to give that goal so early. So I don't want to bang on his head or anything, but he is off right now, and it's all trust. You look at him in front of the net, and it's all trust. He's fighting with the puck. He's fighting with easy shots. He's fighting with the rebounds, all things that were not happening early in the season.
Yeah, he's a goalie with no confidence right now. We see it with players. When Cole Caulfield last year in the first 30 games of the season had 1 goal, he was a player with no confidence. There were other players in their respective positions that had no confidence. Jake Allen right now has absolutely no confidence. He just doesn't. He's got no confidence.
It's incredible. It's incredible, and you expect the veteran on the team to bring that effort. Whatever you can say about David Savard game in, game out, he's bringing the effort. Brendan Gallagher is never going to be back to being the Brendan Gallagher of old, but he is bringing the effort. And for Jake Allen, he really needs to find his groove back, because if not, like I said, I understand Martin St. Louis to give him the vote of confidence for now. And, I'm not mad the way they're dealing with Montembeault right now. I know it's a hot topic. I know some people don't like it. But with a netminder like Samuel Montembeault, I am a fan of... I would say applying the boiled frog theory here. Like, don't put him in the hot bath instantly. Let him get warm to the water. Let the water get warm to him. And I don't hate it. I don't hate it, because if you start giving him more game, maybe his stats too will get a little bit more down. But let's give him the confidence. And I do not hate that, but Jake Allen definitely needs to start doing his part too.
Well, so, Jean-Charles and I were talking about it earlier this morning, like you mentioned. And, Marty St. Louis comes out and says, hey, Jake Allen is still my number 1. You take a look at the stats. Those aren't stats worthy of being number 1. I was a little bit surprised in a sense that he said it, because he doesn't talk about Nick Suzuki being his number 1 centerman. He doesn't talk about Dvorak or Monahan being his 2 or the other one being his 3. He doesn't talk about Doc being his first-line winger. He doesn't talk about Anderson being his second-line winger. He doesn't talk about Matheson being his number 1 defenseman. So I say to myself, why is he mentioning that Allen's number 1? And there has to be a method to his madness. There's got to be a reason why he's saying it. Is he showing a lot of respect for a veteran? Probably not, because some of the youngsters are the best players on the Montreal Canadiens. Is he trying to say it because he's thinking positive reinforcement, he gets Allen's confidence back up? Is he saying it because they want to hype Allen back up because at one point they want to trade him? Is he saying it because he wants to motivate Montembeault anymore? Is he saying it because he truly believes it? Is he saying it because he's just not sold on Montembeault because 8 games is not a big enough sample size? Well, choose whatever option you want. I don't even know. What do you think?
I think that us goalies are strange creatures, Tony.
Oh, you're a goalie too, eh? You're a goalie too.
I used to be. I used to be when I was younger. I have switched to the winger position as an adult because the old hips don't hold the butterfly position as much as they used to.
Yeah. There's always hip surgery. You can have plastic hips now.
Come on, man. I just turned 31 literally yesterday, man. I'm not having plastic hips at my age, Tony. Come on, man.
Yeah, I was doing that. I was 31 2 weeks ago, and then all of a sudden I turned 50 like that. So enjoy 31, my man. It goes fast. I remember when people used to say to me, when 50-year-olds used to say to me, and I was like 15 years old, enjoy your teenage years, because the next thing you know, you're going to be 50 years old. And I used to say 50 years old, that's in 35 years. And guess what? It took 1 year for 35 years to pass. That's how fast it went. All right. Yeah. Okay. I have to get to something, because I was never sold on Uri Slafkovsky. And by the way, full confidence in Marty St. Louis and all the buttons that he's pushed. But you know what? He's not always going to be right. And I don't always have to agree with him, but I do love him. But I was never really sold on Uri Slafkovsky playing on the 4th line. I said to Jean-Charles at the beginning of the year, I said, Jean-Charles, if he's going to end up playing fourth line on a regular basis, at that point, I'm almost thinking I'd rather see him in Laval play on the first line or the second line, because if he plays on the fourth line, he's going to be playing with players with less talent, far less talent. He's going to hit and get hit. That's not the type of game I want from him. With all due respect to Evans and Pezzetta, I mean, I think it's safe to say that Pezzetta and Slafkovsky can't play together. They just
Not again.
they're not on. They don't see the game the same way, and they don't play the game the same way.
No, Slafkovsky, you can see he has more talent in his left foot than his two linemen have in their whole body. And it shows on the ice. And correct me if I'm wrong, I saw him at the end of the game with Anderson, and was it Dvorak who was with them?
Yeah.
I think it was Dvorak centering them, and I love that. All due respect to Yoel Armia, but the guy, I don't know what happened to him. You were talking about hitting 50 in a day. Yoel Armia aged 5 years this summer. He brought good services the past few years, but this year he's doing absolutely nothing. I have
a theory.
Oh, go for it.
Please. And by the way, this will be denied because no one's going to say it's true, especially not Yoel Armia. And by the way, I could be wrong, but I'm going to give you my theory.
Go for it.
Having hung around the Canadiens, not as much as guys that are on the beat all the time, but I'm going to tell you this. Every time I was around the Canadiens, Armia, Lehkonen, and Kotkaniemi, the Finns, like this, together all the time. And I believe when Kotkaniemi left, Armia lost a part of himself. Like his spirit went with it. He and Kotkaniemi lived in the same complex. They were together all the time. They would drive into the rink all the time. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, I think at one point, one caught COVID. The other one may have caught COVID or not. I think they were driving in together or having supper together. You're not supposed to drive in together, by the way, during the COVID rules. At least I don't think so. Anyway, long story short, I really believe that when the Finns moved on, it crushed his spirit. I believe that.
That is interesting. That's actually really
First
interesting.
First time you hear that, eh?
Yeah, it is.
You see that?
The thing is, I really respect that this is 2022 and that we need to acknowledge the player's personal life. Not that I care about it, but in the sense that it can affect a game. It really can. But Yoel Armia, you know what? If it was the other way around, let's say KK was still here and Lehkonen and Armia were gone and suddenly there was a dip in progression or whatever, Kotkaniemi being 22-year-old, I would be like, okay, fine. But Yoel Armia is a big boy. He's a 29, 30-year-old man. He's a veteran. It's part of the business. It's bad. It might suck for him, but it's part of the business. You can't use that as an excuse for him. But you're making a valid point. I feel no desire from Yoel Armia. Honestly, I see nothing. You know what? I've been a very, very critical guy of Yevgeny Dadonov so far this season, calling him a ghost and anything. I don't see him on the ice, and I'm starting to get the same feeling from Yoel Armia. He's wearing an invisibility cloak out there. I don't see him. And Juraj Slafkovsky, you know what? Sometime in the wrong way, but I see him. I see him trying. I see him doing things. And most importantly, I see him being too good for his line mate right now. Give him an opportunity to get those points on the board. So I don't know if the Habs being good is slowing that progression up because I don't know, they're trying maybe to win games that they didn't think they were going to win. I don't know. Maybe, but still. No, I don't like not seeing him giving opportunities.
I think you said Dvorak, but it was Monahan.
It was Monahan? Okay.
Yeah,
sure.
It was Monahan. And much to the delight of a lot of people, because there have been many who have been wanting to see Slafkovsky and Monahan together at the same time, one of which is our buddy Jean-Charles, who's been wanting to see them together. It's funny because Jean-Charles wanted Slafkovsky on the fourth line, but he hasn't produced, so now he wanted to see him with Monahan. Once again, I said it before, I'm going to say it again. The Canadiens have a lot smarter people working for them than Tony Marinaro. Jeff Gordon's smarter than Tony Marinaro. Kent Hughes is smarter than Tony Marinaro. Martin St. Louis is smarter than Tony Marinaro. Clearly, they have experience in bringing along players, which Tony Marinaro does not have. Clearly, they have a plan for Juraj Slafkovsky. but I don't have to agree with it. I don't like it. I don't like seeing him on the fourth line. I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring him around slowly but surely, and they don't want to give him too much, because if they give him too much and he ends up on the second line, he ends up again going up against the first pairing or second pairing of defense. He ends up going up against the first line or a second line. They don't want him to get burned. But in my personal opinion, putting him on a fourth line with fourth line players, that's him getting burned too.
Yeah.
I view that as getting burned.
Isn't Monahan the perfect centerman also to have? Like, it's a benefit. And I don't know what's your thought on this, but he's probably not going to be here all season if he keeps playing like this. I don't see why he would stay. I think he can bring something at the trade deadline. So why not use that to your side? There's nothing better than having a veteran near you, as responsible as Monahan. And you, for those of you who listen to BPM Sports, you hear Bob Hartley all the time, and way before he came to Montreal, always talking about how good of a human being, of a leader, everything Sean Monahan is. Use that to your advantage while you have him, because like I said, I'm pretty damn sure he's not going to be there all season. So no, we totally agree on this. And especially that, Monahan has been at times this year looking to his left, looking to his right, and like, really, tonight, this is who I'm playing with? At least Erik Slafkovsky, he's gonna try and do something with him.
Yeah, no, listen, of course they're going to try and do something with him. But at the same time, like this experience now, or this experiment of putting him with Monahan and putting him with Anderson, this has to last a couple of games, because if you recall, when Hoffman went down with that injury, they put him with Dvorak and Gallagher, if memory serves me well. They played one game. He didn't do well. He had 14 and a half minutes of ice time. He did not do all that well. But the next game, they put Evgeny Dadonov on that line. Like, if you're going to move Slafkovsky up, if you're going to give him an opportunity, give him a real one. It's got to last more than a game.
Agreed. I totally agree with that. And the part that I don't understand is, I maybe it's because they don't have a choice, but they clearly are comfortable giving opportunities, because they give them to all the kids on the defensive side. And like I said, it's a worse situation on defense. They had no choice, especially at the start of the season. But clearly they are comfortable giving the opportunities. And the thing I like about Slafkovsky is he has a lot of things to learn, but already, the battles along the boards, the playmaking, the hockey IQ. Hockey IQ is the term I was searching for. It's already up there. It already is up there. So why not try him with somebody who can see the game the way that he sees it? And I'm a bit disappointed in Jake Evans so far this year, because I thought he was going to be more of a very, very, very good fourth line center, borderline third. And so far this year, he is not able to have a player as smart as Slafkovsky on his wing, it shows to me.
All right. So now this is the first time you and I have had a chance to chat, and it's a pleasure. And I hope it's going to be the first of many, by the way. I don't know exactly where you stand on this, but, look at the sweater that I'm wearing for a second.
Yeah.
Look at this sweater that I'm wearing for a second. And by the way, the Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Lacage. If the last time you went to Lacage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you get back to Lacage. The menu will surprise you. The sweater says, "Embrace the tank." I am one who wants to see the Canadiens lose more games this season and maybe even next season and last season, so that they could win more games going forward in the future and they can sustain it, okay? Yeah. I am embracing the tank. When the Canadiens started to win hockey games at one point this season, a lot of people said, yeah, this is what we want. We want to win hockey games. We want to make the playoffs. Where do you stand on this?
In an ideal world, this would be where I would want the Habs to be. Honestly, I do believe that the more you give yourself chances, the more you can take those chances. Because, a lot of people are going to say, yeah, look at the Oilers, look at the Sabres. Yeah, but also look at the Avalanche. They got McKinnon and Rantanen, and they got, not Rantanen, sorry, Landeskog number 2, and McKinnon number 1. But they ended up getting the other real stuff.
If I can, McKinnon 1, Landeskog 2.
Makar
4.
4, yeah. Rantanen was 9 or 10.
Hold on a sec. Byram 4.
Oh, yeah, they got Byram, too.
Rantanen 10.
Yeah.
Nichushkin 10. Kadri by trade, who was Toronto's 7th.
Yeah.
Johnson by trade, who was once upon a time, I believe, St. Louis's 1st. The many players in the top 10.
Exactly. And that's exactly my point. It's like, Kel McCarr, you go back, he's a number 1 overall pick, right? So if you're only drafting high that year and you're going number 2 like the Flyers did and you get Nolan Patrick, well, of course you're going to have this chance of missing your shot. But if you're going there for a few years and get a few shots, you're going to get maybe your McKinnon at number 1, but you're maybe also getting your McCarr number 4, and you may be getting your Rantanen at number 10. So I too agree. I want a top 10. I want another top 10 pick, that's for sure. I would really appreciate them to give a shot at 1 or 2 this year, because it's one of those years like Jack Eichel, Connor McDavid, and Ovechkin, and Gino from all the come that we're getting. Yeah. So I would like it, but I am convinced that, October hockey and the strength of the schedule to start the season. I don't know if you saw this this week. The Habs, I think, are, if my memory is correct, 5th for the rest of the season in the hardest strength of schedule. So I think it's going to come back more to normal. Also,
I'm really glad, pardon me, that you brought that up, because I've mentioned on a couple of occasions that I believe that when the schedule is going to get tougher, Max, is going to be starting on the 17th of December, when the Canadiens, and going all the way up to, I believe, the 5th of January. Let me mention those games if I can. They host Tampa. 2 nights later, they're in Arizona. 2 nights after that, they're in Colorado. 2 nights after that, they're in Dallas. They're off for 4 days during the holidays. They come back on the Wednesday, they're in Tampa. The following night, they're in Florida. And 2 nights later, they're in Washington in the afternoon. 3 games in 3.5 days. Tampa, Florida, Washington. They go to Nashville a couple of days later to play another game on the road. And then they come back and they play the New York Rangers at home. This is a difficult schedule, especially from the 17th of December to the 5th of January. It's very tough, Max.
Precisely. And, you're looking at it right now. Sam Montembeault is still 9th in the league, according to Evolving Hockey, for GSAX, goal saved above expected, 9th in the league. I love Sam. I want to see him play more. But if he ends the year in the top 10 in goal save above expected, well, we're going to have to rethink his future, because it's unsustainable. There was a point at the start of the season where both him and Allen were in the top 15. Jake Allen actually is out of the full first page and like at bottom of the second page now. So I think this is going to get back to normal, and I think that the Atlantic Division is not going to stay also as competitive as it is being right now. So to me, it's a good thing right now, because they're winning games, they're having fun, they're learning, and I think it's when push comes to shove, January, February, I think it's going to get back to normal, and they will be back in a position to draft top 10. To me, I'm not concerned yet with that.
Yeah. Let's talk about the power play here, and thanks everyone watching on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. And if you like what you're hearing, and you like what you're seeing, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, share it with everyone. And if you're listening on Google or Apple or Spotify at some point tomorrow or going forward in the future, give us a 5-star review. We'd appreciate it. Can you begin to put your finger on a Marty St. Louis power play? And I know that Alex Burrows is the guy that has that assignment. Why a Marty St. Louis power play is struggling so much?
I can't. Is it like predictability? Because I was thinking exactly about this tonight, because, you have on the ice at the same time Nick Suzuki, who's firing it up 5-on-5, Cole Caulfield, Kirby Dach, Sean Monahan, who is doing, I think, a decent jump in the bumper position. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, it's like you have all the great ingredients for a pizza and you don't make a good pizza, Tony. I know you make a decent pizza. You're going to make a great pizza if we give you the greatest ingredient to make a pizza. And you have them and you can't do it. I'm guessing it's predictability so far, but at the same time, I mean, I don't know. I'm going to counter argument myself here. Alex Ovechkin has been the most predictable guy on the power play for almost 20 years now, and he's still lighting it up. I know it's Ovi. I know he is GOAT status for all-time goal scoring, but that's the only thing I can pinpoint because you have the elements. If you have the elements, why can't you fix that? I don't know. I guess they need to work on different type of puck-moving plays because they're, I'm guessing, too predictable. It's the only thing I can try and think of.
Do you think at any point that Alex Burrows, knowing that Marty St. Louis specializes in power play, teams have asked him to be a power play consultant. He's had a taste of this with the Columbus Blue Jackets and stuff like that. Do you think at any point that assignment will be taken away from him and they'll give him another assignment?
That's interesting. Do you remember that happening mid-season? I'm trying to think. Like without a
well, it happens on it happens on a lot of coaching staffs where a coach at one point will say, "Hey, you know what? I'll take over the power play." I believe Claude Julien during his mandate at one point he took over the power play. I could be wrong, but I've seen coaches do that before.
Okay, that's interesting because I was trying to think. I think you might not have a choice. You might not have a choice because it's not working. I have a friend who is he's starting to argue that the power play coach don't do enough video reviews in the show because, you know, it's like game in, game out, trying the same thing. At some point, I understand trying to establish something, but I'm a big fan also when things are not working out, try different things, try different people in place. You have some element. I don't know. So maybe if you're Martin St. Louis, why not? He was hired by the Blue Jacket, the Columbus Blue Jackets a few years back to work specifically on this for them, if you remember. He was like a consultant or something.
Consultant,
so, exactly. I wasn't sure if you had the same word in English. Sorry.
Yeah. Conseiller.
Yeah, exactly. So why not? I mean, you're the guy. You're in the Hall of Fame for it. I don't know. Is he trying to be too much of a nice guy toward his assistants? I don't know. But at some point, you're not going to have a choice because it's been going like this for too long now.
All right. So if we take a look at the Canadiens' power play and we take a look at what it takes to run a good power play, all right? Yeah. You take a look at a guy at the point. You take a look at a quarterback. You take a look at a guy in the bumper. You take a look at a guy screening. You take a look at a guy being the setup man on the half wall, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What's missing on that power play most, in your opinion?
I would say it's at the back line. That place Matheson is occupying right now. Because Caulfield has a shot.
You don't think they have a shot from the point or
a quarterback?
Or a quarterback?
No, a quarterback. Andrei Markov, I would say. Because Caulfield can take the shot on his side. Suzuki can do both, either cross pass like he does so well, or shot from his own desk, which he does so well too. Yeah. I think Monahan is not the problem. I would say the quarterback, because remember Drouin was there before being injured.
Yes.
He was doing an okay job, and emphasis on okay, really, like no more than that. And I was really looking forward to Madison in this position, and so far the results are not there. And I'm wondering sometimes, the power plays that I love the most are those that the puck moves quickly, extremely quickly. When you look at prime Washington Capitals, the puck, yes, everybody knows the puck is going to Ovi, but they're dizzying you, I guess would be the term, before getting the puck there.
If I could help you out on this, prime Tampa Bay Lightning, where not only there's puck movement, but the players are moving. They're never static in the same spot. Those are the power plays I love.
This is one thing I don't like. Is static the right term too in English?
Yes.
The players are all static. They all have it's like, and this is a thing that I find surprising because St. Louis puts so much emphasis on the term team concept instead of a gameplay system. He wants his players to be creative, but I almost feel like, do you remember there was a practice, it went a bit viral, where St. Louis was literally drawing on the ice at one point? And I almost feel like if the guys feel like they have an imaginary box around them and they have to stay in it, which they should not be.
Hold on a second. Are you talking about the one where he was sliding across, trying to cut off the cross-crease pass? Or are you talking about the one where he was with Caulfield and he was showing him you have a shot, but then you fake it and you cut in? Which one were you talking about exactly?
I think it's the first one you were mentioned, but that one was for the PK. That example that he was giving it for the PK, but maybe it was for the PK, but it was just to imagine I don't know how to say this, to put images in people's
Yes.
mind about how I feel like they're stuck in boxes. And
Yes.
I do not like that. On a power play, you got to be creative
you.
and you have
I
the
hear you.
assets for it.
By the way, do you know Peter from Côte Saint Luc?
I do not.
You never met the great Peter from Côte Saint Luc, who is still yet to make an appearance on the Sick Podcast, but I have a feeling he's going to make one very, very soon. Maybe when people least expect him to make it. Well, Peter talked about team concept. You know what the team concept is?
I think I do.
Are you ready for this? I'm going to change your life, all right? The acronym for
go.
team. The acronym for team. Hold on a second. You talk, and I'm going to see if I can get you something. Give me 1 second, okay?
Okay.
This is going to be it's going to be unconventional that I'm going to leave the screen, but I'm going to do this. Talk to the listeners.
Problem.
Say hello. I'll be back in a second. Say hi to them. Introduce. Talk about your radio show. Hold on a second.
Okay, hello to Habs Nation, Raymond Singh, Anthony Crisafulli, Dan Howard. I gotta be honest with you, normally making time like I'm doing right now is absolutely no problem, but right now I have to do it in a second language, and I'm absolutely horrified, so I appreciate you for sticking with me right now. So let's try and find what the acronym is. T is for Tony, E is for EA Sports, maybe, and I guess M is for Marinaro. So if I had to guess, team acronym, Tony, EA Sports, Marinaro. That would be it.
No. Okay, so here we go. You ready? Team concept. Here we go.
Total emotion and motivation.
Team concept is total emotion and motivation.
That is beautiful.
You like that one?
I like it.
I went into my closet. Sport Buff made many of them for us. Here's another one, by the way, that has not debuted yet. Hold on a second. Actually, this one here will probably debut at a further date. I'm not going to show it yet. I'll surprise everyone.
Oh, come on. I thought I was going to get it. I want that hoodie, by the way.
Well, which one? This one here, Embrace the Tank?
Oh, yeah. I got to have that hoodie.
I'll get it for you. I got George Larac one, actually. He was on the show. He's a regular collaborator every Thursday. And sometimes we switch him around, though, all depending on when he can make it, when he can't. And I got it. He wanted one with the sick, with vegan. So I got him one that says sick vegan, and I have to get it to him.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
No, it really is. You know what? Okay, so to all of you watching on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, once again, tell your friends about it. And a shout out to Matrix Home Fitness and matrixhomefitness.ca. It's funny because as we're doing the show right now, I'm in my basement. And to my left is actually my fitness room, and my son is there right now on the treadmill. Bring it home. Discover a club quality workout in the comfort of your own home. Visit matrixhomefitness.ca. And in that room, we have a Matrix treadmill. We have a Matrix rower. We have some weights, and we're on the verge of getting a Matrix bike. So we are presidents of the Matrix fan club for sure, 100%. Hey, so here's what I want to talk to you about now. Erik Karlsson. Yeah. Did you catch this a couple of weeks ago when Mike Johnson, who used to play for the Montreal Canadiens, brought up a trade scenario where he said Erik Karlsson, after this year, will have 4 years left on his deal at $11.5 million. He wants to return to play hockey in Canada. Can he be a fit with the Montreal Canadiens? And if this deal is done in the summer, you can trade Brendan Gallagher, who will have 4 years left at 6.5. The Sharks want to rebuild. Okay. They will save some money between the two contracts. The Canadiens will have the money to do it because you would think by the end of this season, Drouin, Dadonov, and Monahan will be off the books. Maybe even Paul Byron here. And so they'll be able to afford it. Karlsson will turn 33. Gallagher will turn 31. They will both have 4 years left on their deal. But an Erik Karlsson, who skates a lot more with a transition game, is a lot more of a Marty St. Louis kind of system player than a Brendan Gallagher would be. Now, JC and I talked about this earlier tonight on TVA Sport. I don't know if you had a chat to see what we're going to say. I'm going to hold back for a second here because I'd love to have your opinion on this. Do you see this at all happening?
Absolutely not. I would love it though, because
You would make the trade if you were Kent Hughes.
I would love it from a purely fan perspective of a Erik Karlsson stan. Now, see, there is nothing except a very good goalie like Carey Price. There is nothing I love more in hockey than an elegant offensive defenseman. I am in awe of elegant offensive defensemen, and for a very long time, Erik Karlsson was the definition of an elegant hockey defenseman. But the contract, Tony, the contract, it's like I would not have bought a home in the last year in Montreal because the market was damn crazy. You don't go and buy a home when you have to put $300K more than it is worth. You do not do that. This is against. I am a financially very, very a scary guy. Like I like to keep my money close to my chest. And that contract scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, well, you know what? You know what? I'm not a financial advisor, but if you were really, really smart and you had a mortgage on your house, you'd actually put more of it, take the money and buy yourself another house. That's what you should do. Because if you keep your money in the bank, it's going to give you nothing. But if you remortgage, look, see? Raymond Singh signed, sold, who just got a free plug on a podcast that has reached 10 million homes in the last year. I have no idea how he just got a free plug, but he did. Sing, sign, sold. He will tell you the same thing. You don't keep your money in the bank. You put it on your house, you put it on the mortgage, you take the money, and you buy yourself another house. That's how people got rich.
That's beautiful.
All right,
okay, so how do you get rich with that Karlsson contract, though?
Well, you can get rich if Karlsson ends up helping the offensive game. You end up becoming a more entertaining team, and you end up selling those seats and those loges, which may not be sold right now. That's how you get rich.
That's interesting.
Hey, listen, let's be honest here. You can say what you want about Erik Karlsson. He's worth the price of admission. Not every player can say that, right?
I love him. He's worth the price of admission on hairstyle alone, but that's a whole other conversation. Let me throw you a curveball here.
Yeah.
That miracle Carey Price was talking about happens. And suddenly, a year and a half from now, you have Erik Karlsson and Carey Price is ready to play.
Carey Price is not ready to. Carey Price is not ready to play, my friend. He's played his last game in the National Hockey League.
I know.
You could take that one to the bank.
Pretty sure, but let's say the miracle he was talking about in that interview with Arpon happens. Like, I don't know.
I've been telling people I'm going to lose weight for the last 5 years. There's no miracle happening here.
Yeah. And you just plugged the Matrix treadmill.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah. I got to stop looking at it. You know what? To tell you the truth, I get on it, but I don't push as hard as I should. You know what I mean? Like I got a little bit of a sweat. The heart's beating a little bit. Okay, I got to calm down a little bit. Instead, you got to go on it like you want to break the machine type of thing. That's what you got to do. But anyway.
I should get you on my hockey team, Tony. Every Monday, come with us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, every Monday.
What time you play?
10 o'clock p.m. That's beautiful.
Can't do it, bud. I got to host a podcast. You see, I have an excuse. We always have excuses. But if we would have gone 10 a.m., I could have done it. You know, my proposal to Agnello and Sammy at the beginning, when we talked about going live and having this kind of engagement was, why don't we go at 10 a.m.? It's the one that I thought would have been the no-brainer because of, 15 years of doing a 10 a.m. slot. Mm-hmm. But when we said, why make people wait until 10 a.m. when you can come on right away live 10 p.m.? So then we changed our mind. But who knows? Maybe one day there will be a 10 a.m. show. Who knows? Maybe one day there will be a 10 p.m. podcast and a 10 a.m. podcast.
Gotta dream big. That's good. And gotta dream big on Erik Karlsson too.
We got big plans. So we got big plans for the podcast.
That is amazing.
You want to host one?
Sure. Why not?
What are your favorite teams? The Sick Podcast is expanding, by the way. We're going all over North America. There's a Sick Podcast in Detroit. There's a Sick Podcast in Toronto. There's a Sick Podcast in Arizona. There's a Sick Podcast, obviously, in Montreal. There's a Sick Podcast in Chicago. And there's a Sick Podcast in Pittsburgh.
I'll wait for the French version. I'm not sure people want to hear my bad English all the time.
So why don't we do a Sick Podcast in français? We'll call it Malade.
That would be awesome. That I would be in.
On va l'appeler malade.
That would be in.
Yeah. By the way, one of my best business decisions was investing in the Sick Podcast, by the way. That was a great business decision. All right. Okay. Look, this has been a lot of fun. It's your first time. I'm going to tell you right now, I really enjoyed it. You're going to be on again. And in an ideal world, I'd like to make you a regular collaborator, or you join us on Tuesday nights. If that's okay with you, that's okay with me.
We will check this out. I need to speak to my agent because you just gave me financial advice, and now I'm trying to seriously consider those financial advice.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll give you good financial compensation. All right, okay. We'll talk to you.
Thanks.
Hey, Max.
Thank you so much, Tony.
All right, okay. Hey, listen to his show Monday to Friday at 1:30 p.m. until 3:30 p.m. at BPM Sport, Quebec's #1 all sports radio station. And everyone knows it. Okay, why don't we do this? Why don't we try and get some calls?
You called. Presented by Playground.
Is brought to you by Playground, your premier gaming destination located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes from downtown Montreal. 1-888-585-SICK is the number to call. 1-888-585-7425. Of course, there are a lot of things that we can talk about tonight. Number one, in no particular order, Jake Allen loses again. You can now make his record 6-8 with a goals against average that's above 350 and a save percentage that is below 895. Number two, the Montreal Canadiens get shut out. It doesn't happen often, but it did tonight. Number three, they lose to the San Jose Sharks at home in Montreal again. They haven't beat the Sharks on home ice in about 7 years. Number four, -9 for the line of Suzuki, Caulfield, and Kirby Dach. Where are we at? 4 or 5? Anywhere. The next one, Slafkovsky and Pizzetta, no chemistry whatsoever. The next one, 11 plus minutes on the power play, a power play that goes 0 for 6. And you know what? If you want to add anything else, you can do that. Let's get to your phone calls. We'll also get to your comments. Where are we going here? Hold on a second. We already have somebody, and Yellow and Sammy have brought him up. We are going to Tony in Pennsylvania.
How are you, Tony?
How are you?
Oh, pretty good. A little bit under the weather, but stayed up late enough to watch your show.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Whereabouts in Pennsylvania exactly?
South Central Pennsylvania, a little town called Bedford.
Bedford, Pennsylvania. All right. I can't say that I've heard about it. I do thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate that. It's kind of cool when you do a show like this and you have people watching from Pennsylvania, actually from all over the world. But let me ask you, because I'm curious, how did you come across the podcast?
Well, I've been following you ever since your radio show back on that other network. So I've been just keeping in touch with you the past 2 or 3 years, listening to your shows and everything. So I definitely heard about the podcast for the past year or so, you talking about it.
Well, you've actually heard about the podcast since May 27th, because before that, I wasn't really allowed talking about it. But anyway, that's another story for another day. So you followed me over, and I thank you, and I appreciate that. Bing, shots fired. Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, I'm one of those people who believe that the Canadiens won't be truly competitive, and by that I mean winning a playoff series or two at the minimum 3 years. Now, I am concerned, I don't know if you are, but I am concerned about the Canadiens' goaltending situation in 3 years. If you really want to be competitive, especially in the playoffs, you have to have goaltending. And for all the good plans that they seem to have with this team, it just seems like to me they don't really have a solid plan for goaltending. I kind of want your opinion on that.
They don't have a solid plan for goaltending. You're talking about prospects at the goaltending position, or a solid plan in regards to the 2 goalies that they have right now?
Well, I don't believe you can be competitive with the likes of Jake Allen and Sam Altenbowl. That's just my opinion. I don't think,
it's a great opinion.
Take you to the playoffs, but not get you through the playoffs. And I'm just not a believer in Primo either. Like I said, just my opinion. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you are a believer in Primo
No.
or not. Where do you go from there?
It's a great opinion that you have, Tony. But I'm going to say this. Let's define competitive. Competitive meaning what exactly? To take them to the playoffs and to be able to win playoff series. They're not gearing towards that. Okay, they're not gearing towards that. Look, they're not going to come out and say this, but I'm going to tell you what winning is for them. Winning for the Canadiens is not winning a game necessarily 5-4. Winning for them right now where they are is getting better. Winning is progression. And so when you say their goaltending right now isn't good enough to make the playoffs or win them a playoff series, I agree with you. And they wouldn't say this on the record, but I would be willing to bet that they would agree with you too.
Yeah, like I said, I just hope, once they finally do come competitive in the next 3 to 4 years, hopefully, that they do have a solid goaltender to, put them through the playoffs, not just make it there.
Tony, thank you very much for following me on the podcast when I decided to go full-time with this. One of the reasons why I decided to go full-time with it is because I know that my listeners are the best listeners in the world, and they're loyal to me. I think I got the best listeners out of anyone out there, really. I have this following that it's my listeners are like family. And so thank you for being a part of the family. I appreciate it.
Yep, you're welcome, Tony. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. All right, there you have it. Listening from Bedford, Pennsylvania. We go back to the phone lines at 1-888-585-SICK, 1-888-585-7425. We got Gary in Montreal. Gary, thanks for calling the Sick Podcast. What's going on?
No problem. I'm the cousin, right? I'm part of the family, so I'm the distant cousin.
You know what? You're a distant cousin. No problem at all. Okay. Where are you calling me from exactly?
I called you last week, Tony.
Yeah, where are you calling me from exactly?
Montreal.
And from Montreal. Okay, what's on your mind, Gary?
Yeah. So what I want to talk about was a few things, but first, you remember we talked about Owen Beck last time? So
yeah.
Now officially I could say that he does not have one weakness to his game, because the only weakness I saw potentially that he wasn't physical, he couldn't fight, but now he can fight. So he could do it all. So now it's like he's an all-purpose soon to be great player. That's
I hear you, but we don't want Owen Beck fighting. And look, with all due respect,
but I like his passion, man. That's what I like. He has passion. He's alive. You know what I mean?
With all due respect to Jake Evans, I don't know what the Canadiens are going to do with the center ice position next year. I believe that Kirby Dach is going to. I believe. Well, what I'm saying is Owen Beck's going to be on this team, but
next year.
What line?
He's going to be on the second line. He's going to be a second line center next year eventually.
No, well, I don't think they'll do that.
I'll make you a little bet.
Well, hold on a second. I'll tell you. Okay. Well, we'll have to wait until next year. But yeah, I'll take that bet. I'm going to tell you why. Okay. Look at what they're doing with Slafkovsky. They're breaking him in slowly but surely. If Slafkovsky was drafted first overall, and 15 games in, 20 games in, he's on the fourth line. Do you really believe that Owen Beck next season, after playing one more year of junior hockey, who was drafted 33rd, is going to center the second line next year?
Yes, for sure. You know why? Because first of all, Slafkovsky doesn't belong. I can't even pronounce his name. Slafkovsky does not belong in the NHL. He should be in the American Hockey League right now, today, playing 20 to 25 minutes a game, so he can learn the game and get in a lot of minutes. It's useless. It's a disservice to him to put him on the fourth line. That's where I agree with you, but he should not be on the second line. He's not confident enough. He's not smart enough yet. He's just not good enough to be in the NHL now. Simple as that. He should be in the American Hockey League playing 20 to 25 minutes a game on the first line.
You know what? You may have a point, because I'd rather see him playing 20 minutes a game on the first line than see him playing on a fourth line where guys are not on the same page with him.
Exactly. But it's more about the amount of time he needs. He needs the experience of playing every day, or almost every third day, playing 20 to 25 minutes a game. So he gets used to playing at this high level in a small rink like the American Hockey League. fast-paced league. That's what he needs to develop, not 10 minutes or 8 minutes on a fourth line. It's ridiculous. Anyway,
Gary, you've been heard, and everyone watching via YouTube and Facebook and Twitter had a chance to hear you, and you say your opinion. Thank you very much for calling.
One more point.
Yes, go ahead.
One more point. When you talked about today, Suzuki, Caulfield, and Dak were -3. Just to give you a stat, because I went to look at this last time. You know what the plus minuses of Suzuki and Caulfield is in their careers? This is Suzuki's 4th year, Caulfield's 3rd year. You know what Suzuki is? He's a -46 in his 4th year now. Caulfield is a -25.
Yes.
You know what Lehkonen was in 8 years? He's a 0. Philip Deneau is a +64 in his 10th year.
Okay, and
so what that tells you is, and I see it every game they play. Suzuki and Caulfield are the laziest guys in back checking. They do not back check well. That's the weakness that they have.
Yeah. No, I'm going to tell you what it is. Are you ready? Are you ready for what it is? There's also a different twist that you didn't talk about. The different twist is that one is 22 and the other one's 20, and they're actually playing on the Montreal Canadiens first line at the age of 22 and 20, when the other players did not until they were actually in their mid-20s. And Lehkonen only did it for like maybe a couple of shifts here and there. They're going up against the best players on the other team, and they're going up against the best pairing of defense on the other team. And they did this in a year where Dominic Ducharme was their coach and Carey Price was out for pretty much the last 5 games of the season as the only ones that he played. And Shea Weber was out for the entire year. And Joel Edmondson missed half a season. And Paul Byron missed half a season. And Lehkonen was traded. And Sherratt was traded. And Toffoli was traded. And Kulak was traded. And Stahl wasn't brought back. And Philip Deneau went to another team. I mean, they were minus 8,000 last year, Gary.
Okay, but Tony, that's a good point. But last year, Suzuki was -25, okay? But he has a -46. He's never had a plus in his career until this. I think he's +2 now. He's never had a plus in every year he's played.
Okay, but Gary, you realize that the year that they went to the Stanley Cup final, as great as it was, that if it wasn't for COVID, they don't make the playoffs because they weren't very good in the regular season. You realize that too, right?
Exactly. And
okay, well, if you're not a very good,
get injured.
If you're not a very good team, you're going to end up being a minus player.
Yeah, but not that much minus, man.
Well, I mean, but Lehkonen was a plus. But Lehkonen was a plus player because he's playing on a fourth line, so he's going up against other teams' fourth lines.
No, I understand that. I'm talking about back checking and forechecking.
Yeah,
that's their weakness.
Perfect. But you know what their strength is putting the puck in the net and picking up points.
True,
and that's
but if the other guys are putting in more goals than you are, then you're not effective as a line.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the other guys are putting in more goals than them. I understand your point, but you're discouraging. Look, I'm going to live with offensive players who have defensive shortcomings more so than I'm going to like a really good defensive player who can't put up the same offense.
True, but you're not going to win a Stanley Cup like that, though.
Well, I believe that Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield are going to win a Stanley Cup. And I'm going to tell you another thing. I love Arturi Lehkonen, but if he didn't play on a team with Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen and Cale Makar, he wouldn't have won a Stanley Cup either. Well, we'll talk to you soon. All the best to you. And if Ray Bourque didn't get traded, he wasn't going to win one either. But guess what? He was a pretty good player. All right, okay. That was an interesting call from Gary. A different opinion. Very, very cool. A different opinion. Gary, you call anytime. We'll get to a couple of comments. Agnello and Sam, if you can bring it up. What is Pizzetta's role on this team? I love Pizzetta. He was actually on the podcast before. Great guy, but he's a 13th forward on this team. That's his role. Others coming in. You still believe Marty St. Louis is the right coach for the Canadiens? Do I believe it? Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's not a 4-0 loss to the San Jose Sharks going to make me change my mind. Marty St. Louis is the absolute perfect coach for this team because guess what? The future of this team are the young players, and the young players are the bright spots on this team. And ever since Marty St. Louis took over, the young players took their game to another level. Marty St. Louis is the absolute best coach in the world for this team at this current time. Other questions? I can bet the Habs go on a long losing streak soon. They'll finish bottom 10, 100%. The Panthers might miss the playoffs this season. The draft will define the next decade. Remember 2003? Raymond, I remember it. And you and I, my friend, on this are on the same page. There's no doubt about it. Other questions coming in. We have one more. I would try to I would try to trade Jake Allen, says Pasquale Fabo, as soon as he gets better. Well, so would I, but he's going to have to get better really, really soon. All right, okay. Why don't we switch gears now and go for gold?
Go for gold. A daily World Cup report.
Alfonso Davies keeps it himself. Goal!
Presented by Bijouterie Bossy.
Alfonso Davies.
All right, okay. So today at the World Cup 2022 and Go for Gold is brought to you by Bijouterie Bossy. Where I got this. You like it? I love it, by the way. I really, really love it. And I got this. I love that too. And the Bijouterie Bossy has provided professional service in fine jewelry for over 30 years. Visit the store at 9640 Boulevard Saint Michel, and you have several reasons to visit, one of which is that Christmas is around the corner. You can call them at 514-387-9528. All right, okay, so today at the World Cup 2022, as my wife is sending me a text message while this is going on. Why would she do this? I have no idea, but she just did. But anyway, this is it. I mean, I'll always tell you what's going on. All right, today at World Cup 2022, all kidding aside, but she did send me a text message. Senegal by a score of 2-1 over Ecuador. Netherlands, Cody Gakpo making a name for himself out of PSV. It looks like he's going to be sold shortly to one of the bigs. He scores one of the two. Netherlands beats Qatar. Qatar, 3 games, 3 losses in a World Cup that they are hosting, which is unfortunate. Netherlands wins by a score of 2-0. And the much anticipated game between Iran and USA. It was USA on a goal by Christian Pulisic, who actually bruised his abdomen in the process. He took a picture out of hospital saying, all right, victory, I'm going to be okay. I'll be back. Isn't that good news? And England all over Wales by a score of 3-0 on a couple of goals from Marcus Rashford and a goal by Phil Foden. On to tomorrow in World Cup 2022. Here are the games. 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. now. They're pretty much all the groups. They play at the same times to avoid any kind of match fixing, which is unfortunately something that's happened in the past. Australia, Denmark at 10 a.m. Tunisia versus France at 10 a.m. And at 2 p.m., Saudi Arabia versus Mexico and Poland versus Argentina. Is this going to be Lionel Messi's last game with the Argentine national team? Man, I hope not. I really want him and Cristiano Ronaldo, his Argentina, and Ronaldo and his Portugal to go far in this World Cup. But as a matter of fact, it's anyone's World Cup. Anyone can win it. And to tell you the truth, I don't mind who wins it. I'd rather Brazil doesn't get a 6-star so they don't run away from Italy, who has 4 stars, seeing as Brazil has 5 right now. But I will tell you that I always have loved the way Brazil plays, and I still love the way they play. And if they win it, you know what? I know we're going to be entertained. I try to entertain you as much as I can. Some nights a little bit better than others. I always try my best. Some nights it works out a little bit better. You are a fantastic crowd. You're a fantastic community. You are my sick army. You have been supporting me since day one. You have followed me here. I'm not going to let you down. The Sick Podcast is getting bigger and better every day. You haven't seen nothing yet. The plans we have, we're going to absolutely knock your socks off. It's going to be a fun ride. Thanks for joining me again tonight. Tell your friends about it. Hit the like button. Share it. Comment Sick, S-I-C-K. It's our way of feeling the love. And leave us a 5-star review on Google, Apple, or Spotify. We'll be back tomorrow night. Same time, same place. I'm Marinaro.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. 8.6. intense by nature, and La Cage. If the last time you went to La Cage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you went back to La Cage. The menu will surprise you.